Hello, and welcome to Ignite. This week, I'm really excited to be here with Emma Macdonald from TBCo. Emma, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
It's such a pleasure to have you. So just to kick things off, could you just give us a little bit of an overview into your business, please?
Yeah, so TBCo started 10 years ago now, and we create high quality sustainable pieces that help people express themselves through creative fashion pieces and home pieces.
Brilliant. And where are you based?
We're based in Edinburgh in Scotland.
I have seen your shop here. Brilliant. So I want to start a little bit by going back and just talking a bit about yourself in terms of your background. Where are you from? Where did you go to school? And kind of what were you like in school? What did you like to study? And what did you want to be when you grew up?
So I went to school in Edinburgh, was at South Morningside Primary, and then went to Barmuir High School, and then ended up going to Edinburgh University before moving down to London. And I think I really enjoyed like different subjects. I enjoyed art a lot, and math I was always quite good at, but I wasn't very good at English. And I think I struggled to really figure out what I wanted to do. So I ended up studying economics and not really enjoying that. And then I actually did a master's in fashion marketing and then went down to London to be a buyer. So a bit of a roundabout way to get into the industry.
And did you, when you were younger, did you think that you would become an entrepreneur? Was that a dream, or what were you thinking at that stage?
No, I think growing up, I never really saw female entrepreneurs. I didn't personally think that was something that was on my radar at all. I think I saw people owning shops or things like that, but I didn't really see an entrepreneur in the sense of like building a bigger company in that way. So for me, it wasn't something that I'd ever really thought about. And actually, my husband had started a business, and his family had all kind of had their own little businesses. And so his background was very much that was a possibility. And he kind of encouraged me into that industry, and I've loved it ever since. But I think it's definitely an area that I think was never really portrayed in school or in life, that was a possibility, which is quite different to where it is now, I think.
Brilliant. Yeah, no, I think I totally agree. There were no role models for me when I was younger to think about what an entrepreneur looked like. And now there's so many brilliant ones like yourself.
Yeah, totally.
Brilliant. And so then where did the spark of entrepreneurship come from? When did that happen?
So I would definitely say it wasn't a spark. I felt more dragged into it than wanting to go into it. I think, like I said, my husband had kind of always had that background. And when we were wanting to move back to Edinburgh, there was very limited jobs in Scotland in retail sort of industry around buying and merchandising. And so my options were a bit limited. So he convinced me that we should start a business together. And here we are 10 years later. So yeah, it's been a bit of a journey to go on, but it is definitely one that once I understood, like it took a while to kind of figure out what that journey would look like. But now I love it, and I love what we've managed to create with it. And I think if I'd wish I'd understood the potential to go down that route and to understand what kind of skill sets are good for that, because I think I would definitely have thought about it a lot more as a possibility a lot earlier on, but I'm very glad that my husband convinced me into it and it all worked out. So
you were dragged into it, but now you love it. So when you sort of were like, okay, I guess I'll start a business, what were the first steps that you took? How do you even go from I don't want to do this to all of a sudden doing it? What does that actually look like in practice?
So it totally depends what kind of business that you want to start, but so working in buying, I learned a lot about customer behavior, like what do customers want, what do they value, like what kind of products that you wanted to go in, what trends, how do the trends filter down to the shops. And then from the merchandising side, it's much more about the margins, like how do you make that financially work, how much stock do you need to buy, how much do you need to sell, what taxes are you paying, VAT, like all of this kind of stuff. And then also the supply chain side, so where are you sourcing from, what manufacturing qualities are going into that, negotiating with suppliers, all of those elements. So for me, it was incredible to learn that. And actually what was almost harder was to come back and then start a business and think like, okay, well, I don't have £5 million budget today to spend. I only have like a few hundred that we have. So it was kind of changing a little bit in the mindset from like a large company down to a startup, but certainly understanding where we needed to get to and what we needed, how we needed to function was really important. And then kind of then learning all the different functions as well that go alongside that.
And how did you fund it in the beginning?
I wouldn't say I loved it. I came from a job where I got to like travel around the world and spend loads of money and get taken out for lunches, to being in a very cold, dark office where we would be packing orders and trying to like sort a bug on the website, or, you know, just like very like different perspectives. And it also took me a while to figure out what I wanted to do, what we want this business to become, and that's changed over and evolved over the years. I started just being like, oh, what does the customer need? What can we create that they need? Which I think is really important. But I think now we've created a brand that really speaks to what do I want to bring into the world, as well as what does the world need. So you have to marry those two things up. But you also have to be confident enough with your passion to want to do that, and I think that took a while. So at the start of it was all much more customer centric, and now it's much more about like having this purpose that we're trying to deliver for myself, the team, the brand, as well as the customer.
Yeah, that's such a good perspective, because so often we hear, oh, just whatever the customer wants, whatever the customer wants, but actually you have to feel it and you have to have that passion and that purpose behind it. So tell me a little bit about what is TBCo, what does it stand for, what is the brand, and what is that purpose?
So, like I said, we've evolved quite a lot over the years. We started off with the Tartan Blanket Co, and we sold tartan blankets, and then we evolved that from there. So we were always really focused on, so one of my biggest thing was like quality. So always wanted to have natural, sustainable fibers. Definitely working in fashion, you saw the sort of negative side that was going on a lot with a lot of brands. And then we kind of evolved thinking like, well, tartan blankets at the time, 10 years ago, were very like basic, traditional products, but actually they were made of wool, and they could be things of beauty, so we wanted to bring them into sort of more of a modern style, and so that's where we started, and we evolved it from there. We grew our market, and then now we've rebranded as TBCo. We became B Corp certified a couple of years ago, and we really have focused on how can we be design leaders in the market and create products that we feel allow people to be like experimental with fashion, to show their creativity, but then also have these really great quality products that have this positive impact, and sort of marry those areas together. So yeah, that is where we're at today, and we mainly sell direct to consumers online, but we also are stocked by Anthropologie, Selfridges, Liberty, Nordstrom, a lot of different retailers worldwide, but we're quite selective on who we work with. So we've built that brand up now to the point that we're super proud of where it sits in the market.
What a wonderful story. I think that's really great. And what are your most popular products?
At the moment, these triangle scarves, which we cannot keep in stock, we were featured on Vogue last week with them in Copenhagen Fashion Week, so we actually brought these out 2.5 years ago now, and at first they were very slow, and then we got featured in WGSN as a trend that would be coming up, and then this year they've just exploded. So it's again something that I think we've learned a lot is, if you want to stand out in the market, you have to bring something unique to market, whether that's through design or the product or like the brand itself. And so it's been really important to us to kind of always be thinking about something new and creative we can bring to the market.
Fantastic. And you touched a little bit on it already, but in terms of like, what kind of marketing has proven most successful for you?
To be honest, I think it's everything. Everything has to work together, and that's very probably not a great answer, and everybody just wants a little tick box.
But it's the truth.
But the truth, it is not just like one thing that will change. It is everything working hand in hand, from your content that you're creating, making sure it's on brand, to the ads that you're going after, making sure you're reaching the right customer in the right way. Everything kind of works hand in hand. So what we have learned is when we focus just on one marketing area, actually we'll get diminishing returns from that, and everything kind of layers up to work, and it takes time. Like, doesn't happen overnight, and normally the overnight successes fall very quickly, and we've learned that as well. So for us, it is about like sustainable growth versus just like one like high, because it will be followed by a big drop afterwards.
That's such a lesson. I think so many people think now like, oh, I'll just get one viral post and then my business will be a massive success. But the reality is that's not what a sustainable business looks like. You've got to put in that hard work and do all of the elements of the puzzle.
Totally.
What would you say is your kind of superpower? What skills do you bring that you think make you a great entrepreneur?
So I think at every stage of the journey of running the business, you need different skill sets. But I think ultimately, I'd say the thing that's most important, certainly where we are now, is finding the right people. So you learn a lot of mistakes along the way, but getting the right people that are really bought into that journey that you're going on as a startup business and growing business. And also having like people that are better than you for all those different skill sets, and then your job is to really make sure that all the pieces are working together. So for me, I have a full understanding of the whole business, but if you put me into one area, I wouldn't know as anywhere near as much as the people that work in that area. But most people, you have to be able to manage a lot in your head at one time and make sure that everything is working in sync, and you're prioritizing what needs to be prioritized at that time.
How big is the team now?
So I think we're 36 at the moment.
And what's been the hardest part as that's grown? Because I imagine, as a founder, you're doing everything yourself, and then suddenly you have to sort of give up that control and get everybody involved. How did you manage that?
I'm not that bad at that, and I love working with people, so I absolutely love it to see people thrive and to see people like having that input, and I'll happily give my input. I think one thing that we've learned is it's very easy to feel like you want to please everyone, you want everyone to be happy, but we have to also be able to challenge each other, so otherwise we won't make things better. So for me, that bit is easy. Like I'm quite happy to hand things over because it allows me the freedom to explore doing even more things with the business and to strategize, and there's an endless to-do list of things that we could be doing, and so I don't really have too much of an issue with that. But I think, again, my buying background was a lot about working with lots of different like brands, suppliers, different departments. So I think that kind of juggling act and understanding, like it's not just working on one thing, that it suits my way of working and my brain. I think as an entrepreneur running a business, you really need to be able to think about a lot of different areas.
Thinking about the people that are listening to this who might want to someday be in your shoes, what would you tell them in terms of the kind of skills they should build right now, or the kinds of experiences that they should potentially try to get?
I think that although like I went to university and then I did a master's and all this stuff, I would say that was like 5% of the useful things that I got. I'd say 95 of it came from actually working in the job and learning actually the realities of that. So I would say whatever path you choose, like learning as much as you can on hand, whether that's like a Saturday job in a shop because you want, like in the industry that you want to go into, or whether it's an internship or like a summer job, whatever that looks like. I think figuring out not just what you do want to do, but also sometimes what you don't want to do. It's very easy to get very focused and like, this is what it's going to be like, this is what I want to do, this is the product that's going to wow the world. And actually that doesn't always come to fruition when you put it into practice. So the more you can learn about things and learn what you like, what you don't like, what will work, what won't work as quickly as possible, I think is great. And the other thing is like, I mean, AI tools, I know everyone goes on about them, but to be honest, you can't get, like, having experience with that is super key, and they're only as good as what you put in. So learning about how to write great prompts or what different tools are useful for different things, not only will they be great for individuals, but if you're going to then go into a company, which I would advise, like I would think it'd be better to go out of school, go into a company for 2 years and then start a business versus necessarily all of the degrees that you could get, because you'll get a lot of first-hand information, and you could start your business straight away and you could be successful, but I think there's a lot that you can learn from actually being in a job for a little while that you can take in. But yeah, you'll be bringing that knowledge as well if you've got understanding of different AI platforms and stuff to jobs, and that will be a lot easier, I think, than to get into industries that you want access to.
That's such good advice. I think I hear that a lot, that, people say, oh, I just want to start the business right away, but actually going out and just getting different kinds of work, different experiences, even if they aren't exactly what you ultimately want to do, they all just add up and they give you those skills, and they help you build that network as well, which is really important. Actually, speaking of networks, are there any particular kind of places you would tell young people to turn to for support, or to find like-minded souls?
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on every stage. There's different networks. So the networks that I'm part of are like are larger company networks. But I think there's ones for every different stage that you're at. I did EY Entrepreneur as a Scottish finalist for Entrepreneur of the Year, and I've done their Winning Women program, and they've been great. But I know that they do a mentorship program as well for young people, which is also great. I know that there's like a lot of different, there's a lot of things out there if you look into it to get access. And I think some of these programs, you get access to people that honestly would be hard for myself to access, and yet they're really there's business leaders out there really wanting to support young people to get into entrepreneurship. So I think if you can do those programs, it's an amazing start. But it's everything that you put into it, you get out of it. Nothing will be handed to anyone. And I think anyone who shows that initiative and that drive will get rewarded with it. Yeah, the more effort and the more you learn, the more successful you'll be, because the quicker you will fail and learn to get to that point of success, because you cannot replace actually experiencing it. You have to go through that journey. So the quicker you can go through that journey, the quicker you'll come out the other side with all that knowledge, and then you'll succeed from there.
So if you have an inkling of an idea, just go out and do stuff. Just go and start the journey, because it's just the hard work is just what's going to get you there, and that drive.
I mean, you could start a business on the weekend. You can set up an online shop nowadays, super easy, and you could test products that you will make no money on, but you will learn so much about what sells, what doesn't sell, what marketing works, what doesn't. Do it on a small scale, and you're risking next to nothing, but that knowledge is invaluable for what you will need later on when you're making big bets and you're placing huge orders. So the quicker you can learn and fail, the better.
Such a good point. You can almost sell it. You can sell it before you even really have it, just to see if anyone's interested in it, and find out before you go and build this whole big business, and then realize that actually no one actually is interested in or wants it. So
yeah, I think
learn, experiment.
Yeah, one of the biggest failings that I personally see is that people get an idea so built up in their head, and they're so convinced, and they've asked all their friends and family, will you buy this? This is amazing. And then actually they spend 2 years putting all this work and energy in. They finally go out with what they say is perfect, and actually there's not the market fit, it's not the right product, you've got the wrong customer base, and actually you put so much time, effort and money into it that you don't have room to fail. And there's I'm sure there's a saying that if you're not embarrassed by what you started, like your first website, your first product, that you waited too long to launch that, and actually just launch, learn and figure it out as you go along. And yeah, it's much easier that way.
You'll never know if it's a great idea until you actually put it out in the world and see how people respond.
Yeah, totally.
Amazing. Great. Well, I could talk to you all afternoon, but any final words for our budding entrepreneurs in the audience, or pieces of advice?
I probably mentioned this quite a few times already, but yeah, just to get started, and also don't be embarrassed to ask the embarrassing questions, get the advice. I personally as well still ask so many questions when I'm in the presence of people who have that knowledge. I will not be embarrassed to ask, can I have a breakfast meeting? Can I ask these questions? Because actually, I used to feel like I should know it all, like I should be this one that's filled with knowledge, or if I'm not confident, they won't believe in me. And I think there's a difference between not being confident and actually being so confident and so believing in what you want to achieve that you're willing to ask those questions. And actually, I think that's a sign that you're building that confidence, that knowledge base, and then people will believe in you more because you're really open to being challenged and to learn. So yeah, the more that you can challenge yourself or be challenged by others, the quicker you'll learn and the more you'll learn. So yeah. There's
Brilliant.
also lots of amazing books and resources and podcasts. I mean, it's like never ending these days. So
Any in particular that you really love?
Find Your Why by Simon Sinek is quite a good one just to start you off and figuring that out. Good to Great is a really old classic by Jim Collins, which is always good. Building a brand story, I would say, if you're wanting to build any kind of brand, particularly in retail, is like fundamental to figure out how you create that brand and that storytelling. And then there's quite a lot of books like Scale Up and Traction and things like that, which really help you think about all the different elements. But I guess that some of them aren't as relevant for when you're starting, but just learning as much as you can. And podcast wise, I know How I Built This and Diary of a CEO are two classic ones, but they do have amazing people speaking on them about business. So yeah.
Brilliant. Love those practical suggestions. All really, really wonderful ones. Well, thank you, Emma, so much. I'm going to ask you one last question, which is what's next for TBCo? What should we expect?
So we've got lots going on at the moment, but yeah, we were launching into a few new product areas this year, which is really exciting, and into a few new big retailers in the UK and the US. Yeah, we've got a lot of spinning plates, but it's really positive. Yeah, like I was saying, we got featured in Vogue last week, and we've got constantly sold out of a bunch of our different products. Yeah, it's going well. Lots of hopefully exciting new things to come in the year ahead.
Congratulations on all of that success, and we're excited to see what happens next and where it all goes. And thank you so much for making your time. What an amazing business, what an amazing story, and really appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you, and best of luck to everyone. Just go out and try and start.